at the Wyndham, and it's the 30th year anniversary for Bellaire Puritas. My name is Brian Galuli, and this is Greg Thomas, Pastor Greg Thomas, our board chair, and we are really fortunate to have both candidates here tonight. We are also very understanding that we're not the only thing on their calendars at this day and time of this season, and so we're switching up your agenda. Everything that's on the agenda is incorrect. What we're going to do is call heads and tails, and because Bibb alphabetically comes first and so does H, this will be heads, and then it'll be your choice whether to go first or second. And if it's tails, then it'll be your choice whether to go first and second. I have to tell you, they're both motivated to keep it quick because they have somewhere else to go. But I honestly wouldn't mind if you stayed all day. I'm really excited to hear from both candidates about your vision for the neighborhood and what the neighborhood could expect from you in your first term as mayor of the city of Cleveland. So I will flip it.
And I'll call it.
You will tell me what it says. You're going to catch it? How do we do it?
You can catch it. It's heads.
All right.
You can
Heads
trust the
means
preacher. Somebody say amen.
Bibb chooses. You're going to go last. He's closing, so you're on. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Kelly, candidate for mayor.
Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for being here, and I appreciate those that accommodated our schedule by changing the evening's agenda. That really is a very gracious act, and I greatly appreciate it. I am Kevin Kelly. I am a father, a husband, and a father of 5 beautiful daughters. I'm the president of Cleveland City Council. I've been the president of Cleveland City Council for the past 8 years. And I represent the Old Brooklyn neighborhood, which is very similar to your neighborhood in many ways. And I can't tell you how much I rely on our Community Development Corporation, Old Brooklyn Community Development Corporation. And I know the work that you do, and I know that it is not easy. And I know that it is difficult to get people involved and to do the hard work of building community. But it matters, and it shows in the community that you've built. It shows through the, whether it's it's park improvements, whether it's road improvement that the councilman advocates for, whether it is for different commercial projects. But also, one thing that I really have noticed about this community is the steps that you take towards building community through social connectedness. The mural project that was done earlier this month, I think, is an example of just that. That was led by your Councilman Brian Kazy, which I appreciate all of his efforts towards, towards all of our citizens and making sure that everybody's equally represented. The concerts in the park for the Thursday night series that you had in the park. Those are the intangibles that really strive to build community. And we've done similar things in Old Brooklyn with our movie night, making sure that we're working with the Community Development Corporation to do the outreach, to do the community engagement, that hard part of walking, knocking on doors, and getting people involved. And I have great hope for this neighborhood in the future, and I think there's a tremendous amount of success that can be built on. And as mayor, I intend to do that. And I look at the beautiful network of parks. If I'm not mistaken, Councilman, you can correct me, there are more parks in Ward 16 than any other ward, is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. And parks don't maintain themselves. Play equipment doesn't automatically renew. Baseball diamonds don't drag themselves. So it's a lot of hard work to keep these amenities, that keep families in the community, that keep the neighborhood strong. The amount of infrastructure dollars that go into the ward, we need to make sure that we are investing in infrastructure in this ward. We need to make sure that we are following up on the streets program, the side streets, have the mains be done. We need to make sure that we are prioritizing neighborhoods like this. And one thing that I want to commit to you as mayor that I am going to more than finish, but it's going to be a part of my administration every day and every year, every budget that the council gets, is we're going to continue to invest in what we've called the Middle Neighborhoods Initiative. And what that is a program for neighborhoods that are kind of in a zone where there's not enough low mod to justify certain programs, but we're certainly not wealthy. And my community is another middle neighborhood. But what we need to do is make sure we have an investment pool for neighborhoods like yours that get overlooked all too often when there are dollars available, when there are assistance dollars available. So the Middle Neighborhoods Initiative, the council sponsored the first $1 million to go into this fund. And what the fund is going to do, we'll believe this when it happens, but philanthropy, private sector is going to add to this. But we all know people that want to buy a house or want to invest in your neighborhood, but they can't do so for an appraisal gap. They can't do so because of a down payment gap that they can't make. That's where the Middle Neighborhoods Fund comes into play. That's how we make sure that if somebody wants to buy and invest and raise their family in your community, we're not going to say no because of a $5,000 difference in appraisal. We're not going to say no because they're a little bit short in their down payment. We're going to find that family in your neighborhood, my neighborhood, neighborhoods all across the city of Cleveland, and we're going to tell them, listen, we want you to be a part of this community, because getting families, getting people into our neighborhoods to purchase homes, people, when they can see their future in the city of Cleveland, that's where we win. We need to make sure that we are doing everything we can to bring families to neighborhoods like ours. We need to make sure that we are not accepting the impediments that too often get in the way of home ownership. So I think that there is tremendous opportunity, tremendous optimism for your neighborhood, for all of our neighborhoods, if we do a few things right in terms of driving investment to neighborhoods that have been often overlooked. I wouldn't be able to get through this conversation without saying to everybody who's involved with the leadership, I know that it is hard getting contracts done on time. I know what you struggle for. We go through this all the time. I don't know why it's not been fixed by now. Had a conversation with Tanya Maness, who recently left, but the challenge you have is that the CDCs that can do things like have a line of credit or somehow meet payroll, they do okay, but others that are struggling don't. And I know how hard that is. It's not something that is new. We've been working on this. We've been pushing, Councilman Kazy and I have been pushing the administration to get the darn contracts out, because I know how difficult that is. But suffice it to say that if you look across the city, generally speaking, the stronger neighborhoods all have stronger community development corporations. It's an integral part of how we build community together. So I really just want to acknowledge what you do, respect what you do. But I have to close with one final thought. What is the impediment towards really getting people to invest in the city of Cleveland, see their future in the city of Cleveland, be a part of Cleveland? We are in the midst of an unprecedented surge in violent crime. We are in an unprecedented time where, whether it's COVID related or not, it doesn't matter. Crime is spiking. We have to get a hold of this immediately on day one, because it doesn't matter. All the great work you do, all the investment we do in neighborhoods, everything that happens, if we don't get the crime thing right, we're not going to get families to choose our neighborhoods. We're not going to get families to see their future. People need to feel safe in their homes, in their streets, and in their communities. So we have to make sure that is a priority. And again, I am running for mayor of the city of Cleveland. I would appreciate your support, but I'm also going to ask that you not support issue 24. I'm going to ask everyone to read that very closely, and I want you to ask any member of the Cleveland Division of Police what they think of it. If they think that an unelected civilian board should have the authority over discipline, whether they should have over $4 million a year to do with what they want without approval of council or the mayor. This will make our neighborhoods less safe. And again, all those things we talked about building community, attracting families to communities, making our neighborhoods strong, safe places where families see their future. We're not going to get there if we do not deal with safety. And we're not going to, in my opinion, and I encourage you to read this, we're not going to get there if issue 24 passes. It's going to make our neighborhoods less safe. So thank you for your time. I appreciate everything you do and look forward to serving you as your mayor.
as if you didn't know what I was going to say. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Bibb, candidate for mayor.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I grew up in the church, so you always would get a call and response. Huh? It is certainly an honor and a pleasure to join you for this important event this evening. And I've had a really great time just exploring your neighborhood over the last year, knocking on a lot of doors in this community and attending Jefferson Park for many events. And you made it feel like home for me as a kid from the Southeast side. And so I'm forever grateful for your hospitality and your support and your partnership and ideas that I've gotten from you throughout this campaign. And I don't have to tell you this, but we are certainly living in some challenging times, not only in this country, but really across our city. And there's a lot at stake in this election. And throughout this campaign, I've done over 300 meet and greets. I've knocked on thousands of doors. And the biggest thing I'm hearing from residents all across the city is the importance for us to do the hard work of getting back to the basics. Getting back to the basics. So what does that really mean? Well, first and foremost, we all know that public safety and crime is the most important issue in this election. And this is personal for me on a number of different fronts. Number one, my dad was a cop and a fireman. And he did both jobs for nearly 35 plus years. And just several days ago, we celebrated his birthday. He passed away nearly 5 years ago. And I saw the gentleman with the Tri-C sweatshirt on, and my dad was a graduate of Tri-C, going to the fire academy there and the police academy there. And I remember my dad serving valiantly the communities that he served. And as a black man raising a black son, he also had very hard conversations with me about how to talk to police. When I got pulled over, he would say, "Son, show your license and registration. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am." And unfortunately, that's the story and the talk that many residents have to have all across the city right now, because many people in the city don't trust the police, unfortunately. And I believe the surest thing we can do to restore safety in our neighborhoods is rebuild that trust. That's why I do support issue 24. Now, is the legislation perfect? No, it's not. But in this case, we cannot let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And if it passes, I will work with council and our community leaders to make sure, with having law enforcement at the table, that we can modify it in a way to better serve our residents. Because as mayor, I believe having many more community voices around the table is essential. And when you look across the country, and other cities have done this, I'll give you one example. In Camden, New Jersey, they had brought more community voices around the table around more police reform and police accountability, and they saw a 42% reduction in violent crime over 7 years. 42%. But beyond just restoring trust, we need to do a better job of having more foot patrols across our community. I want to see more visible police in all of our 5 police districts. We also need to have better intelligence gathering between our gang unit and vice unit so we can target the top 1% of violent crime all across the city. And then I believe if you think we can solve the public safety issue with a public safety only lens, you're sadly mistaken. That's why as mayor, I want to add a 4th option to 911. Fire, police, EMS, and mental health. So we can have the right response or the right call. That's why I support actually using our diversion center so that our brothers and sisters that are going through a mental health episode can get the support they need. I had to bury my cousin over 5 years ago, who was like a brother to me, my cousin Chris. And his partner choked him to death because he suffered a mental health attack. And it took EMS and the police nearly 20 to 40 minutes to show up. So this is real for me. But I believe with the right mayor and with the right community collaboration and resetting the conversation on how we get policing right, we can do this and be a model for America to do this appropriately. Secondly, we have to have a modern and responsive City Hall. As your mayor, I will fight to make sure we finally update our website so it's easy to navigate. I will make sure that our departments don't fight with one another. I was just talking to a resident in the Glenville neighborhood who had to call 4 or 5 departments to get her grass cut. 4 or 5. Why is it that in many parts of our city, our young people don't have access to the pools or rec centers when CMSD closes. These are just case studies to show you that the inequities that we see in our city are only exacerbated by the fact that we don't have a modern and responsive city hall. And changing the culture of city government is critical to doing that. Thirdly, public education. We know many of our children experienced so much learning loss during this pandemic last year, and we have a lot of work to do to get caught up to speed. And we made some great strides in CMSD over the last decade, but coming out of this pandemic, we need to have more intensive strategies to curb the learning loss. We got to bring the trades and apprenticeship programs back into all of our high schools across the city, and we got to teach young people early on in middle school and elementary school about what career pathways exist, so that every child should have a straight to work pathway to the middle class when they graduate from CMSD. Now you're probably asking, how do you get all this done, right? How do you get it done? Well, here's how I think you got to get it done. Number one, it's about culture change. It's about hiring smart people in the administration. It's about making sure our departments are structured in a transparent and logical way. And it's about making sure that we center everything we do on residents and getting feedback from you all on a continuous basis. You shouldn't see your mayor just every 4 years. You should see me as much as you possibly can, where you tell me to go home and take a rest. That's how much you should see your mayor. And I believe that's the kind of government I will have if I'm blessed to become the next mayor of Cleveland. I want to leave you with one final thought before I conclude. I was knocking on doors in my childhood neighborhood, in the Mount Pleasant New Mouse neighborhood, and I knocked on the door of Mr. Robert Brooks. Now he comes to the door, he has his Vietnam hat on, he's a Vietnam vet like my pops was, and he served in the 101st Air Force Brigade during the Vietnam War. I knocked on his door and he says, "Boy, what you want?" I says, "I'm Justin Bibb, I'm running for mayor." He says, "You Leon Bibb, son, you too young to run for mayor. What you talking about?" I said, "No, that's my cousin, but I am 34, and I guess if I don't become mayor, I can run for president next year because I'll be 35. And he says, well, let me tell you what we got to do. You see that abandoned lot across the street?" I says, "Yes, sir." He says, "Well, we got to make sure that grass stays cut. And I don't want to have to call all these departments to get my grass cut." I says, "Yes, sir." He says, "You see that bullet casing on my front porch? We got to stop these shootings. I want to see the cops patrolling our community, but I also want to make sure I can trust the police. And they know me by my first name as well, and know my neighbors by my first name." I said, "Yes, sir, we can do that." And he says, "Young man, we got to make sure our children know that they can have a good life and get a good job when they graduate too, just like I did." I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "But the biggest thing I want you to remember, son, is that if you get elected, remember one thing. Do what you said you were going to do. Do what you said you were going to do. And if I'm blessed to become the next mayor, I will do everything in my power to do what I said I was going to do. Will I get it right all the time? I won't. Will I make mistakes? Absolutely, I will make mistakes. But I will be honest, I will be transparent, and I will do everything in my power to lead with integrity and character. And I believe that's the kind of mayor you deserve in your community now more than ever. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your hard work to make our city better. God bless you all."
Well, thank you all, and thank you to both candidates. I have confidence that we have two smart, capable men running for mayor. As a nonprofit organization, we don't take sides, so I won't ever tell you what my opinion is. I do that with a grain of salt, I suppose, as I introduce Brian Kazy, the councilman for Ward 16. He was going to introduce everybody, but out of the goodness of time for the candidates, he's going to welcome us now that we're already here. I'm sure you have more comments than that, and I look forward to it.
Thank you. I'm Councilman Brian Kazy, and I am not running for mayor. Welcome to the 30th anniversary celebration of Bellaire Puritas. Again, I want to thank both Justin Bibb and Kevin Kelly for your due diligence on attending tonight and for your comments and for the work that you've done. I can tell you running for public office is not an easy thing, and it's a thankless job. And that's okay, because it's what we signed up for. And again, I want to thank the both of them. So as far as Ward 16 and the city of Cleveland goes, I wanted to let you know some of the inside stuff that I'm known for down at Cleveland City Hall. And when you fight and allocate for services for your ward, as you know that we're all ward-based, it becomes very difficult. And one of my comments that I always say is that, well, we're not one of those sexy neighborhoods, right? We're not getting the economic development dollars because we don't want $400,000 or $500,000 condos in the ward, right? We have very little vacant property, so we have not a lot of room for new housing that goes on. But what we are is sassy. Right? So I like to say that we're not sexy, but we're sassy, right? So what is sassy? So we're strong, we're affordable, we're safe, stable, and we're youth-oriented, okay? So Ward 16 isn't sexy, but we're sassy. And that's kind of how I counsel when we're downtown, because I'm one of those individuals who I really wear my emotions on my sleeve, and you're always going to know where I stand. And when I have to fight for things to happen downtown, some of my colleagues look at me now and say, hey, you know you're not sexy. And I say, but I got a suit on, right? Those of you who know me know that you very seldom see me with a suit. But they look at me and they say, but you are sassy. And when they tell me that I'm sassy, I take that as a compliment, because that means they know that I'm fighting for what I believe Ward 16 represents. And that is stability within the city of Cleveland. You know, we're home to over 25% of the city's industry, even though you don't know that, because our industrial parks are all full and they're stuck out of the way where you don't see them. We have, aside from downtown, and over by the University Clinic, we employ more people in Ward 16 than any other place in the city of Cleveland, but you wouldn't know that because we're not sexy, and we don't go out there and we don't advertise that because we're blue collar, right? Because you know, what we want here in Ward 16 is we want to get up in the morning, we want to go to work, we want to come home, we want our streets cleaned, we want our trash picked up, and we want to be left alone. I don't think that's too much to ask for from an administration, which is why when we do stuff like we have been doing, I get a lot of flack sometimes because we don't like change in Ward 16, right? We like to maintain the status quo. And you know, one of the examples of that is, you know, when the old Giant Eagle on 140th closed, you know, I have a 50,000 square foot building that what are we ever going to do with? I didn't want it to be, you know, the old Kmart where it's going to sit for 7 or 8 years, you know, and then people start screaming about that. So it gets sold to a private developer, and then we turn around and it becomes a CubeSmart. And I get a lot of slack because it's a CubeSmart. And I'm fighting with the developer in California because he's telling me how great it is, and I'm telling him you're off your rocker, right? So we come to the agreement that, okay, here you go, it's going to become a CubeSmart because we want to reutilize, and what else are we going to do with a building that big? That CubeSmart is one of the most profitable CubeSmarts for the CubeSmart industry in the United States. Wow. Within 6 weeks, it was at 87% occupancy, which is a lot because there's over 2,000 units in there. Of that 87%, 74% of it came from people who live in Ward 16. They knew what they were talking about, right? So then I get a lot of slack about, well, what about the new building that you put in front? You totally changed the landscape of Lorraine Avenue. And I did, or we did, right? And now we're to the point where we had 3 or 4 different businesses who were going to go in there. Now we have individuals fighting to go in there, and we've just got to figure out which one's going to be the best fit for the neighborhood, right? What I don't want is just a fly-by-night. right? And one of the things that I keep hearing from residents, and I'm gonna ask you to just raise your hand for a second, everybody wants a coffee shop. Everybody wants that coffee shop and that bakery. And I hear it all the time, right? The question is, how many of you are gonna pay $7 or $8 for a coffee? I don't drink coffee, so I don't care. No, not one hand, right? So that sounds good in theory, right? But when it comes to the reality of being able to provide for the neighborhood, we have to do it right. And one organization that's been doing it right for the last 30 years is Bellaire Puritas. And one of our S's in our SASE is stability. And right here in Ward 16, I can say that we are by far one of the most stable wards and neighborhoods in the city of Cleveland. And let me just give you a couple of examples of that. In 30 years, Bellaire Puritas has only had 2 executive directors. Other CDCs go through them every 18 months, right? In 30 years, they've had 7 executive directors of the board. Think about that. So usually when you do a term, it's 4 years. So usually when we get an executive director of the board, they're staying for their whole terms. And that's a volunteer-based thing. Ward 16, in 44 years, you've only had 3 council people. So we get elected, we want to stay because it's a great place to represent. So again, I want to congratulate Brian and Greg Thomas, all the past board members who are here. I know Sister, I think we're going to meet her in a little bit. She was one of the founders of it. I look forward to hearing from her. Again, you know, I'm Councilman Kazy. I think most of you, I think I know everybody in the room, as a matter of fact. So it's good to be here. Thank you very much. I'd be remiss if I didn't at least recognize or acknowledge an individual in the room who is an old political fighter, Charlie Butts. Some of you may remember him as his campaign slogan, as we all have one, is I'm with or I like? I like butts. Was his campaign slogan, was Charlie Butts. He served for many years. So again, Charlie, thank you for the service and the time, and say hello to Alice for me too as well. Again, I'm Councilman Kazy. I'll be here for the remainder of the night. If any of you have anything you need to talk to me about or wish, I'm here. Our state rep, Bride Sweeney. I don't know if it's Bride.
Say hello to Bride.
Bride, if you want to come on up. Our state representative here in Ward 16 is State Rep Bride Sweeney. So we want to give Bride the opportunity. Again, thank you very much. It's actually a pleasure and it's my honor to serve every one of you the best that I can downtown. And I look forward to January 2nd when we have a new administration sworn in. So again, our State Rep Bride Sweeney.
Thank you, Brian. I specifically asked if I was going to speak, and they said no. So, but when elected, you should always be prepared. I am so honored to be at the celebration, of the 30th year of celebrating specifically Bellaire Puritas. It is older than me, so I think that is a testament to what the corporation means. I, obviously have grown up with it my entire life. From watching the youth programs to the grass cuttings and really being the heart of really what makes Ward 16 so great. And what makes it so great is the people that work there. And as the councilman had indicated, these people are not just doing it for the paycheck. You don't stay that long, and I've seen and heard the stories of every single person who works there, who answers your calls, who oftentimes do things that isn't really prescribed to them. Maybe it's not in their, within their purview, but they work for us and the people here. And I've seen them go above and beyond countless times to connect you to government services. Sometimes, filling in for when the city is not, fulfilling a certain need, or it takes too long to call back, them really stepping up. And I really, this celebration is, so much of a testament to the hard work of all of those individuals and 30 years of really celebrating what a wonderful community. And I love that, not sexy, but sassy. I love that because there is no place I have ever lived, and there's no place I want to live besides, this portion of the city of Cleveland that has, made me who I am, who allows me to represent each one of you. So with that, if anyone wants to talk to me after, I'm happy to, touch base. Anything you have issues on the state level, which there is plenty, I'm happy to work with you on that as well. So thank you, Councilman, and thanks for having me be here.
Thanks, State Rep Brian Sweeney. I just wanted to come back up real quick and mention something that's happening in the city of Cleveland, and Friday is the last day. And we have gotten so many number of phone calls regarding the recycling program for the city of Cleveland. In order to start recycling back up, and it's supposed to start up in December, you need to now opt into recycling. You can do that on the website. I can tell you this, don't bother calling down to the Division of Waste. It's a waste. Please, on the website, if you go to the city of Cleveland and then search for Division of Waste, there's a tab there where you can opt into recycling. To opt into recycling ends on Friday, on the 22nd. So if you want to recycle and you have not opted in, what happens then is that the city considers you opted out. And then once you're opted out of the program, the city will come and take your blue can. Okay, so the blue can is for recycling only. It's always supposed to have been that way, it just didn't end up that way. So again, you have to opt into recycling via the website. If you can't do it, call my office tomorrow and we'll walk you through the process, or we'll get your information and do it for you, which is probably what we're gonna end up doing, Linda. But if you do not opt in by Friday, there's not gonna be another opportunity to opt in until probably February or March next year. So if you wanna recycle, please opt into recycling by Friday. And again, if you do not opt in, that means you're opted out, and the city will then come and take your blue can. All right? All right, I think we're ready to keep going with, turn it back over to Brian Galuvi.
Can we just have a round of applause for our public officials, the way they turn out for you? They come to these things, they got useful things to say. We met the mayor, whoever the mayor will be. And thank you again for coming tonight. Greg and I are going to go right into the presentation that would have happened a little while ago. And we're going to take our turns going back and forth. And I believe you're all set up? All right. 30 years ago, a small group of people who cared a great deal about this neighborhood took it upon themselves to form an organization. These residents, businesses, and church people must have wanted to bring about positive change in the community for years and years to come. The organization they formed is the Bellaire Puritas Development Corporation, and their effort is the cause for our celebration this evening. Although the steps they took before there were board minutes are not well documented today, we can look and see that by their actions, the founders, these people, they must have been inspired by large doses of hope and resolve, generosity, possibility, and they had that resilience that comes from neighborhood experience. Never doubt, says the author and anthropologist Margaret Mead, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.
Among the founders and early leaders of this agency is Sister Nora Mara, who was affiliated with the Annunciation Church at that time, taught alternates to violence, and shaped BPDC's conflict mediation program. I believe Sister is here with us today. Ann Azaria, also with us tonight, became the first board president and served this agency with excellence over 15 years. She was a manager of U.S. Bank in the front unit of our building on Puritas. and demonstrated her commitment to the agency above and beyond the usual work required to set the bar high enough as we named an award after Ann. Our first director was J.D. Gardner. He led the agency for a decade and a half. While his team initiated and grew our legacy programs, he championed many of the new developments. He served from the beginning up until 2005. Jay went on to serve at other CDCs before he regrettably passed away in 2011. We know so much many board members, staff members, and dedicated individuals and business people of faith who have served in a leadership role within this agency since the inception days. We cannot name them all tonight because we will be here all night, but their contributions are so significant that it really plans on today. We lead in that, our predecessors in the photos are the ones that we will play again after tonight.
So since the beginning, BPDC embraced the concept of community development that is both familiar and a little different than what you would expect is the mission of a CDC. At the heart of our organization is traditional community development. The incorporation papers describe this as promoting the rehabilitation, the renovation, and the development of buildings and structures in the Bellaire Puritas area. Like other community development corporations, we promote investments in housing, in commercial and industrial properties throughout the neighborhoods. We facilitate the construction of new homes and apartments, and we renovate homes for sale and for rent. We manage some of those construction projects ourselves, but more frequently partner with others who engage in the renovation, and they do it to our specifications. Our involvement, those specifications, is always for a quality renovation for the new homeowners, for the renters, for your neighbors, for your property values. This part of our community development mission is familiar with all the CDCs in town. Melissa Miller is our community development director that manages all aspects of that work. Our second purpose may be more familiar to the settlement houses and the social service agencies throughout Cleveland. And there were about 9 of them at the turn of the last century. In 1991, a full 7 decades after West Park was annexed to Cleveland, 1923, we were annexed to Cleveland. 7 decades later, these agencies must not have done the outreach that our founders expected, because they put right into our founding papers that we are to undertake and establish social programs in the Bellaire Puritas area that promotes social welfare among the area residents and improves the quality of life for the economically distressed and the underprivileged in the neighborhood. The third thing we do, I gotta tell you, is a building block for both CDCs and for settlement agencies. And that is, we bring people together. Engaged residents are the backbone to grassroots organizations like ours. As BPDC improves the built environment and helps people that need it, we are creating opportunities for people to come together as equals. We host community events and jumpstart cooperative initiatives with residents. These efforts might be gardens or skills exchanges, block watches or court watches. Whether they're protests or they're car shows, the underlying purpose is to build community, to make connections between neighbors, and to get something done.
When we step back and reflect, it seems that we at BPDC are both and people operating in an either-or world. You know all these idioms to know that we are what we're talking about. Please listen. Why do we need to either give a person a fish or teach an individual how to fish? We must be willing. We must either give them a handout or a hand up. Why do we make ourselves choose between both alternatives? We want to do both. Why not help a person to learn how to pursue higher education over the long run and steadily gain employment to help them pay the bills in the short run and eat? This is, of course, our strategy for us. So why not teach and support the same things for our neighborhood? No matter how much the world wants to consider the mission as either investing in physical but environmental, or providing relief, or investing in people's soft skills, BPDC's mission is to do both and. Somebody need to say amen.
Preacher got an amen. It's a broad-based, comprehensive mission BPDC believes. Ours, yours, is a resilient community, and you have the ability to meet people in their immediate need and support people on their long-term solution. So how do we organize our work, and what do we have to show for it? First, we select the things we're going to do, and so that we can take them on and do them well. Second, we view our work in three major areas: community and economic development, community engagement and neighborhood service, and youth development and workforce development. And third, we stick together and we maintain hope.
What have we to show for this apparent in both in physical environment around us and the resilience and accomplishments of the people we serve? I will describe the community development activities under a few stories from the earlier years, which are no longer and widely known. They are commonly, but remain in the roots of our organization and provide success for our future. In the initial years, the conditions were ripe for new home construction with a healthy health market. Dale Miller was our councilperson and Michael White our mayor. The city had several incentive programs to help lenders buy low interest rates and make home loans affordable. The economy was growth mode. BPDC identified a few remaining pieces of publicly held land as potential development opportunities. With the support of City Council, we pursued them with great success and vigor. We forged a partnership with a private developer and built a cul-de-sac road and 26 larger market homes on the only developmental portion of the wetlands next to 145th south of Puritas.
BPDC bought a building that was once a Rexall Drug on Puritas and made it our office. We secured U.S. Bank as our longtime tenant. We bought, renovated, and sold an old-style mixed-use commercial building on 130th Street. Gage Pro bought it, and they have their industrial instruments repair facility on the first floor storefront, and an apartment upstairs. With all the conditions right for more development, and with Jane Campbell as mayor at that time, she and council were incentivizing new home construction citywide. BPDC planned and completed phase 1 of the townhome project on the site of the old Longmead School after the Longmead School was demolished. As a part of that plan, we also constructed new single-family homes on several sites in the Between the Bridges neighborhood. BPDC acquires homes and rehabs them, sometimes on our own, and more often in partnership with investors that renovate the houses to our specifications. In this way, BPDC has redeveloped 92 single-family homes. Before the recession that was prompted by 9/11, we completed a storefront project on 130th and another in Rocky River Drive, back when Rocky River Drive and the Riverside neighborhood, was in our community development service area. We continue to have success with the storefront development program and with attracting and retaining businesses in our commercial and industrial corridors. We're pleased to welcome Alex Gowding, who's recently started as BPDC's Economic Development Coordinator, and he's switching our slides for us today.
Since our last summit, we have proudly completed several phases of the public arts project anticipated by our transportation for livable community plans for Lorraine Avenue and funded with the support of our city and council persons. The last steady and successful housing program is a combination of exterior code enforcement and repair referral orchestrated by Tony Jones from our staff. This effort was a way to look at every single solitary home in our neighborhood in over a 3-year time period and to contact the owners if we noticed anything in disrepair. We contacted over 300 persons and also field just as many calls each year from people that need to make home repairs. We provide information, referrals, homeowners making repairs all the time. In fact, BPDC hosted many engagement programs in which individuals were taught how to repair their own homes. 2 years ago, as a part of the city's Healthy Home Initiatives, BPDC expanded and enhanced this effort and added to our staff Mr. Austin Raymond, who happens to be the one that's taking the photographs tonight.
Chin up, he's taking photographs. Also, in our early years, BPDC established its legacy service programs. Bride mentioned one of them. Another one, Sister Noel had a lot to do with. That was, from the beginning, our neighborhood-based conflict mediation program. This program is specifically designed to bring together people in situations where you would assume cooperation is most unlikely. Implemented faithfully by our own community mediator, Ian Kazy, BPDC helps neighbors resolve conflicts when they're unhappy with one another and helps neighbors reach a mutual understanding and work out solutions instead of letting the tensions rise and escalate into further division or a call to the police. Ian's work is both a mission of service to the neighborhood and it's a fine art. BPDC sees new people all the time and resolves mediations for as many as 20 to 30 people each year we resolve them. As a city councilman, Dale Miller helped us to get this program going. Early on in Councilman Marty Sweeney's career with City Council, BPDC developed its senior home repair and maintenance program. Our own David Kasich was hired on at its beginnings and continues to provide assistance to people that need it by completing small home repairs. In addition, he and an outdoor crew that for years included Daniel Conway and now Ron Mayoral with seasonal employees that care for grass and help around 120 to 140 households maintain their yard and outdoor property. Judy Shafrick is the person to call. She works with elderly people who are aging in place throughout the neighborhood and really have no other alternatives to keep their grounds safe. This remains an important part and viable service for seniors in Wards 16 and 17, thanks to Councilman Brian Kazy and Councilman Charles Slife. This program does both. It helps people with their immediate need and it maintains the housing stock in the neighborhood. Another established service is our utility assistance. And when we became an application site for the Home Energy Assistant Program, or HEAP, through the Cleveland Housing Network Partners. We are grateful to Karen Crochran and Kathy McNeil, our diligent staff.
Community engagement is the act of using local resources you have to accomplish something cooperatively and collaboratively in a way that builds community, gets something done effectively, and could lead to something else in the future. When we think about it, in 1996, the BPDC staff offered a peace camp for children at the Riverside Park Estates, a simple act of organizing youth activities or lunchtime for a week in the summer. With a consistent, simple presence like that, over time we gained trust and attracted funds to set up a computer lab for students and adults to access and to learn to use computer technology. This grew into a youth program funded year-round at the estates. In 2005, these connections led BPDC community development staff entering into a contract to facilitate the design and installation of soundproofing equipment, new construction of 62 townhomes, and 28 elderly apartments units built at CMHA at Riverside Park Estates. There are so many other ways in which our community engagement activities made connection that leads to greater things. The Puritas Art Fest in 2000 grew into an activity like Jefferson that we are always interested in, supported by Brian Kazy, the annual Jefferson Rocks concert. One of the new initiatives that we have going on now is to deal with the digital divide, and we hired a new staff member, Delonzo Curgis. So we're delighted that engagement has panned out so extremely well.
Youth development. Over the past 15 years, BPDC built on its experience in youth programming from its initial start in both Riverside Park Estates and also the West Park Teen Center that stemmed from the first neighborhood summit. We applied for a capacity building grant, and I think I saw Lori, I know I did, Lori Ashik, I think she wrote that grant, to help guide us in our growth of a more consistent and comprehensive youth development program. And then we applied and we were invited by the Cleveland Foundation to be a pilot neighborhood in their youth development initiative back in 2006. At that time, we were able to hire our first youth development director, Nancy Baxter, who's in here somewhere also. YDI is what they call it, the Youth Development Initiative, and it grew to become MyCom. MyCom stands for My Commitment, My Community. MyCom is now a county-wide network of people and providers that believe youth development is a direct path to making healthy, safe, livable communities for everyone. Supported by the County Family and Children First Council and the Cleveland Foundation, MyCom supports BPDC's capacity to facilitate quality youth development activities for young people. And we do it in a way that honors youth voice, embraces diversity and inclusion, and connects young people with caring adult figures. So many people say the youth are our future, but we believe the youth are our present. They're a force right here, right now. As the neighborhood agency for West Park MyCom, we believe youth development is community development. Over time, BPDC has grown its presence at Riverside Park Estates, beyond Riverside Park Estates, and offers youth programming in many area schools. We recently welcomed new staff member Emma Toth. We are delighted to hang on to Katie Simchuk, and we will begin this month a new after-school program for 100 young people at the R.G. Jones School in conjunction with Say Yes Cleveland. Say Yes Cleveland is the new initiative to watch. Today, with the leadership of Vanessa Lang, BPDC's Youth Development Program represents 1/3 of our agency budget and activities. Youth development has become a significant portion of who we are and what we do. Running our youth summer activities, for example, BPDC doubled its staff with youth staff this past summer.
Sometimes the smallest act of kindness plants seeds of collaborations that grow into lasting partnerships. You are a kind of and cooperative people. You are thought of a group of committed citizens. This kind that Margaret Mead was talking about. Never doubt your ability to change the world. Thank you all for a productive and inspiring 30 years. Here's to the next 30 years.
Now we're moving to community awards. So I'm going to ask, this is the part where it's actually in order of the agenda. I'm going to ask, I believe, Katie to come up and present our West Park MyCom Youth Award. In case you all are on Facebook, I think we're live streaming through St. Paul's Facebook page. I think that's what's going on. And we're also going to find a way to have it either live streamed from our Facebook or somehow on our web page and available for people. That could be something you could point to as you want to tell people more about the candidates. So, let me get some of these out of here, I'm sorry.
Right. Okay. So each year, we try to recognize an outstanding youth leader. This year, we want to honor Shirley Riviera. When Shirley joined the Wes Park Youth Council, she was a shy senior at John Marshall High School that needed community service hours for graduation. At first, Shirley was a little hesitant to participate in meetings, but she quickly proved to be a dedicated and outspoken member of the group. Bringing fresh ideas about how we should be involved in the community, spending time outside of meetings working on projects, and speaking up when other members weren't. She attended every meeting, every service day, and participated in the Youth Opportunities Unlimited Summer Youth Employment Program, where she was able to put her creative skills to work by helping design a mural at the Future Teen Center on Lyric and 140th. Not only was she able to reach her goal for service hours for graduation, she exceeded it. Shirley was also featured on WKYC News, highlighting the Summer Youth Employment Program and speaking about her experience and the knowledge she gained as a participant. Now a freshman at Cuyahoga Community College, Shirley is creating a future for herself as a digital design artist, a business owner, and a leader. I'm proud to recognize Shirley for her accomplishments and look forward to see what she does next.
Thank you so much, and I'm really grateful to be here, and God bless you all.
They might have more to say. Councilman and representative? I know. There's gonna be more in.
There's so many.
Oh, I suppose I can take my mask off.
Oh, it's up to you.
Congratulations, Shirley. My name is Ian Kazy, Director of Community Engagement at Bellaire Puritas, and it's just wonderful to see everyone tonight. It's great. It's like a family reunion in a way, you know, just to see some of the faces that are part of the slideshow. And I love a good slideshow, as Christine knows, is here. So I want to take this moment now to turn to our Community Builder Award. And the Community Builder Award recognizes a group or organization's efforts during the year to improve and strengthen the quality of life in the Bellaire Puritas service area. Neighborhood Family Practice is a provider of the highest quality of affordable care right in our neighborhood and has been an essential partner in promoting public health and the public good well before and especially during the pandemic. They have provided vaccine clinics at a variety of local venues, including St. Paul's Church. Often they've turned to creative places to get the vaccine out to people, like open apartment units in the neighborhood. They even set up shop at Jefferson Park for the Jefferson Rocks Wes Park concert series to provide vaccines right there before the rock concert begins. And they've been active in other neighborhoods as well, at streets festivals and a variety of places. They provide a trusted source, they are a trusted source of important information during this pandemic. They enrich the community in so many ways through their collaborations and partnerships, and they provide preventative care to the most vulnerable in our community, regardless of the ability to pay. And they provide this care with compassion and dignity, and they partner with places like Case Western to help the next generation of med students, get practical experience providing the vaccine. And I love the fact that they're helping shape the next generation of healthcare providers with that compassion and that social justice focus. From their small, humble beginnings at a storefront office on Store Avenue in 1980, is that right, Megan? They now have 5 facilities spanning 12 diverse neighborhoods. And so a little known fact, the first NFP location was on Store Avenue, used to be a biker bar, apparently. And does anyone know what our office used to be? I think maybe Brian mentioned it, but it was a drugstore, but it was also TCB, exactly, Councilman, Total Country Bar. So we kind of share that, those early beginnings in the transformed space. That space now in Store is the Women's Recovery Center, right? And so doing great work there. So if you ask Megan, she'll say that the staff, they're truly a family. And when you work there, their commitment and care and compassion for one another truly shows, and it is contagious. So we're, at Bellaire Puritas, we're not the only ones who have this respect for NFP. A colleague over at May Dugan Center talks about how energizing it is to see people they refer to NFP be greeted with someone who can speak their own language, you know, and just offers care when they're dealing with trauma. So we're blessed to have NFP right in the heart of Ward 16, right next door as neighbors. And to accept the award tonight is Megan Meister, just one of the shining stars, Director of Community Involvement there at NFP. She's, if you know Megan, you know she's got so much enthusiasm and energy for the work and for improving our community. And so we appreciate Megan so much for that contagious positive energy, and I think partly it's personality, but I think part of it is just, you know, doing impactful, important work in our community that I think feeds you. So we'll invite Megan to come up to receive the award, and please join me in welcoming and congratulating Megan and partners at NFP. Megan will say a few words.
Sweet, thank you. Just thank you all so much. I love Bellaire Puritas Development Corporation, having worked with many of you for so many years. And on behalf of our organization and our medical providers and our care team and all of those that work, we are so grateful for Pastor Thomas and the Community Essential Needs Collective, and to Blessed Trinity and everyone for opening up your hearts to us to come in to provide community health and education and vaccines. So thank you for the opportunity and for this incredible honor. We're really, really appreciative. Thank you.
You have an award for it, or how does it work?
So,
Ian, what is your award?
most of you have
Just kidding, no award.
This is very generous.
Here we go.
Yes. Truly appreciate all the NFP does. So our next award will be the Wes Parker Award. And the Wes Parker Award is given each year to a resident who demonstrates outstanding civic involvement and makes a positive impact on the community. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, anyone can be great because anyone can serve. And Larry and Patty McGinty, and Larry is here this evening, are lifelong residents of West Park in the West 130th area. And they really live a life of service to their neighbor. They're always ready and willing to lend a hand with countless community events. They're always setting up at the concerts at the park, and they help so much at the community garden on West 130th, the Between the Bridges garden, helping with Easter egg hunts and free yard sales. Wherever there's an event, they're showing up early and they're helping close down. It's just great neighborhood volunteers. Larry went to school grew up in Bennington, went to school at Annunciation, and Patty went to Longmead School, both are graduates of John Marshall. And as Larry tells it, he first met Patty when he was playing in his brother's band, and Patty and her friends would sneak in or sneak by the basement window and look and watch the band play and cheer him on. And apparently Larry was a great percussionist, played some mean cowbell and drums. And so soon Patty was helping Larry with his paper route, delivering to Cleveland Press. And then shortly after that, Larry asked Patty to a Journey concert at the Coliseum. 4 years later, they were married. And they've been married 33 years. So Larry says he gets his heart of service from his father, and he'll help anyone. Just ask him. So maybe it's that helpful spirit and that positive way that helped Larry win Employee of the Year 3 times at the former Marriott in this very building as a van driver and in banquet services. And he most recently worked at the Hilton Garden Inn on Grayton Road until he had to leave in 2019 because of chronic seizures. So Larry and Patty have really dealt with a lot of health struggles over the years. And in fact, Patty can't be with us in person tonight. But I believe, I'm not sure, Larry, if you're able.
She's on Facebook.
You got her on Facebook? Wonderful. So everyone wave to Patty. She's over at Parmacare on Broadview Road. Hi Patty, we love you. So yes, she's overcoming an episode with acidosis. It's similar to stroke symptoms, and she's rebuilding her ability to walk, and every day is getting stronger. So.
No hip there or nothing there.
Okay. So, in the words of another super set of helping hands, Laura Aquila. Laura is the coordinator between the Bridges Garden. No matter what these two are going through in their personal life, they always have kindness and joy in their hearts and have love. They're always ready to jump in and make a difference. So Laura calls them part of their extended family. You can really see that connection. So Larry and Patty, they really embody the resilience and spirit of showing up for your neighbor and helping your community. So we're so proud to offer the Wes Parker Award to Larry and Patty. Larry, you want to come on up? You want to say a few words, Larry?
No.
Yeah, come on.
All right, I'll say a couple words. I just want to thank Puritas Development and Ian and everyone that works there. Very honored to receive this, my wife and I. I'm just sorry that my wife can't be here in person, but she's recovering and she's getting stronger each day. So I will continue to help the neighborhood. I will still continue to help Laura. You know, I do landscaping in the summer, so if anybody needs a yards done, just let Laura know or let Puritas Development know, and they'll get a hold of me, and I'll take care of you. And I just want to thank everybody. Thank you very much for the award. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Oh, I forgot to thank Brian Kazy too. Sorry. Sorry, Brian.
It's all right.
What do you think, honey? What do you think, baby?
Pretty cool.
Huh?
Oh, wait, she watched
Wait,
it?
yeah.
Oh, that was Patty.
Hey, you want to say something?
Yeah, let him see Patty.
Never
said
before.
Oh, she's okay.
You sure?
Delicacy.
It's all
Yeah,
right.
let her see.
No
let her
pressure.
See, let her see.
Here, you get the view of the stage. There you go.
Oh, there she is, everybody. There she is.
Just checking us
You want to
out.
say hello?
She said hi, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. I am here to give out the Andy Rosari Business Person of the Year Award, which is named after our first president, who is still in the back. And it goes to the business person whose commitment is above and beyond to this neighborhood. This year, the winner of the Andy Rosari Business Person of the Year Award is John Wynn from Vinnie's Beverage. John is the type of small business person that every neighborhood organization wants in their community. He's engaged, active, and has a passion for the neighborhood. He chose Cleveland as his home in 1985 after growing up in Louisiana and then in several countries around the world, and after he finished college in Worcester. He moved to Cleveland for 2 reasons. He had friends here, and he loved the city. He originally settled in the Ohio City neighborhood while managing a restaurant on the east side. A few years later, his friend, Paul Vasco, the 2014 winner of this award, opened Vinnie's Beverage on Lorraine Avenue in West 136th Street. He helped Paul out at the store while working at another job, and eventually he went to work at the store full time. It is through the store that he still works at today where he formed his initial connection to the Jefferson neighborhood in West Park over 30 years ago. 7 years ago, John moved from Ohio City to the Jefferson neighborhood to be closer to work. John has a unique passion for the neighborhood that he has been a part of in one way or another for the past 30 years. When reflecting upon what he loves about the neighborhood, the word diversity continues to pop up. He loves the diversity of the people in the neighborhood, the people who have lived here in the neighborhood forever, the heritage people in the neighborhood, the new young people buying homes in our neighborhood, and he loves the newcomers coming to West Park and making it their very first home in this country. He also loves the diversity of restaurants that are within walking distance from his house. He loves being able to eat around the globe so close to his home. When people talk about transit-oriented neighborhoods, John loves the fact that he already lives in a transit-oriented community. He likes the walkability of his neighborhood and the fact that you can easily get downtown or to the western suburbs via public transportation. Being here for over 30 years, John has a connection to the neighborhood that makes him feel the need to be involved in his community. He's worked on various community projects over the years and is probably most known for his extravagant window displays at the shop. He's turned the large front window at Vinnie's Beverage into an ever-changing story over the years. People in the neighborhood wait in anticipation for his yearly Halloween and Christmas displays, and his Pride displays always help celebrate the LGBTQ community in West Park. During the early days of the COVID pandemic, John came up with an idea to help people feel comfortable enough to keep shopping in the neighborhood and to help businesses at the same time. He developed a great system to keep people COVID safe in Vinnie's Beverage and wanted a way to let people in the community know that they could come, shop, and feel safe. He contacted BPDC with the idea of a Shop Smart, Shop Safe, Shop Small, Shop West Park program. Through the program, businesses received a sign to display in their window and were identified as program partners on the BPDC Facebook page and website after they submitted their COVID protocols to BPDC for review. This great small business program allowed businesses a different avenue for advertising during the pandemic and also allowed customers to know that the businesses were following a set of protocols that were intended to keep their customers safe while shopping. For these reasons and so many more I can't even begin to name, John Wynn is the 2021 recipient of the Annie Rosari Business Person of the Year Award for his contribution to the Bellaire Puritas neighborhood.
That was quite a mouthful. You know, I can't tell you, this is such an honor. We too this year at Vinnie's Beverage, we're having our 30th anniversary. We had opened the ice cream store a couple years before, but it's actually 30 years. I mean, it has been an absolute honor and a privilege to serve our community. Thank you.
That's mine.
So we have a couple events we want you to know about. One's Friday, one's Saturday, because there's always something going on in Bellaire Puritas. The Councilman's Haunted Hollow, the neighborhood's Haunted Hollow, is on Friday with the pirate theme. And I encourage you and lots of others to show up and grab some candy or help pass it out. to students and families and kids that come. And then on Saturday, we have a cultural fest. Someone you just mentioned, newcomers, and there's a good, strong population of Bhutanese and Nepali people that are making this neighborhood their home. It's my supposition, meaning I think it's just like everybody else that's ever moved to West Park. Everyone is here to make a better life for themselves or their families than they had, before. And so I hope that you can take a chance and come to St. Vincent de Paul Church. It's really in the school gym, but it's all in the St. Vincent de Paul Church on Saturday afternoon. And then, if I can ask Sister Noel, if you can come up, and Ann, if you're still in the back, I bet you money that Chuck had to go. He had another appointment, but please come forward. Vanessa, please come up here. Melissa's here. Come back. Greg, come on up. If you're on the board, Ebony, please come up. Okay. Because two things. One, then you'll be up here because I guess the lighting was really bad and we have to take our photos again for all those awardees. So the awardees, don't leave the room yet. But also for the next slide. Someone is leaving Bellaire Puritas Development Corporation. And we haven't really anything prepared but a moment, quite literally, in the limelight for you, Ian. But come forward. We do have some things planned when the weather's warmer. Ian is a dedicated person, not just to Bellaire Puritas, we all know that, and not just to everyone he's met, but he's given 25 years in service to this neighborhood. I read his resignation letter like really quick and put it away. Didn't bring it here today. I'll probably read it again later. I think he was just called a quitter. He was saying how much of an honor it is to work in Bellaire Puritas. You have got to love someone who has a spirit of connection to absolutely every person. I'm going to tell one story and pass it to Melissa. One time, I think it was my first year at Bellaire Puritas, they have this thing where like, oh, we're going on vacation, and he showed us vacation slides, and I thought, oh my God, we're going to have vacation slides, and how long is this going to take? And so, it's lunch, and we're eating, and do you know that he had like 10 minutes, okay, exaggeration, but it's my time in the limelight.
Yeah,
he had like 10 minutes on the taxi driver that took him from the airport off to the neighborhood. He was talking about his family, he was talking about what he did when he grew up, he was talking about how something flooded once. Like, this guy's a real person, and he sees the real person I know in every one of you. And so it's true about me, it's true about everyone on staff. We're going to miss you greatly. And we're going to honor you, and Melissa can talk about that.
I'm going to cry. Ian, you're the reason why I'm at Bellaire Puritas. And I absolutely can't imagine what November 8th is going to look like without you there. I was tasked with thinking about what should we do with Ian. What should we give Ian? How should we celebrate?
For Ian.
For Ian. How should we celebrate Ian? And if any of you have been in our office and ever seen Ian's work area, I thought to myself, we don't need to give him more stuff. Ian, your presence has been felt in every corner of this neighborhood. And knowing you and knowing how you want this neighborhood to continue to grow and continue to live on, this spring we will be planting a tree in your honor in the neighborhood. So if you want to come up now and we'll do what we have to do.
It was my hope to inform the mayors where this would be, right? Because we have an informal agreement to take care of that little Bellshire Island. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, sure.
That's what we call it. But I think it's Bellshire, I think at that point, it's still Puritas, right? And we cannot get that place under control. So we thought, well, what a great opportunity for us to make it look nice and to honor someone who has given us 25 years.
So you can go and look at the bush that's there now
And then you can come back anytime you want.
and
Pull some
replace
weeds.
it.
Oh,
You gotta
Do you
say
have any
something.
words?
oh my gosh. No, thank you very much. That's very meaningful. That choice. Yeah, it's such a gift to work in this neighborhood with so many good people. I mean, this is just, you've heard some of the stories tonight, and I really do mean it as far as what a gift to work with the staff at Bellaire Puritas. You know, great group of people who just make you better, just help shape you, you know, in terms of what they're about and whether it's just, you know, healthy living and choices they make and things they're about. This work is so, I don't know, it's really an amazing place to be when you're part of public art, you're part of gardens being sown, you know, you're part of safety and you're part of helping neighbors try to get along. It doesn't always happen, you know, but, and just trying to keep people healthy, trying to help them know how important it is to vote, to have their voice. Nothing's prepared here, but I just want to say thank you for helping shape me, and so that I can just somehow, over these years, hear your story. I mean, that is true, Brian, that part of it is, I just feel like everyone has a story to tell, and this neighborhood is a special one, and I appreciate everybody who has helped Bellaire Puritas, who's helped shape this community. I love a slideshow, it's true, I love seeing the threads. Sister Noelle is here, she mentioned one of the first organizing meetings when she was at Annunciation Parish was right here at the former Marriott. And the work you did to try to promote peacemaking, it still echoes of that to this day, you know, and you know, Councilman Kazy, you know, you've always talked about when neighbors start to act like neighbors, when neighborhoods are rejuvenized, right, or energized. I mean, that's what it's about, being on the front porch, caring for your neighbor, helping out. And I just thank you very much for the gift to be in this work. As far as next steps, I hope to stay in touch with folks. I hope to spend some time caring for my mom and with her journey. But I'm excited for the future of the neighborhood and for the agency. I mean, great new talent is on board, and you know, new library being built soon, you know, new developments, new neighbors moving in. I'm just, thank you. I'm sorry to take so much time, but I'm just trying to soak this in for a moment because I appreciate it all. Thank you.
So Ian's been the king of one more thing. We have an agenda item, and he's like, oh, one more thing at the end of the So I thought it was, did we actually surprise you?
Yes.
We got him with his own trick. One more thing. And now I realize that I'm standing between you and dessert.
Right.
So thank you very much for coming to this evening.
Proclamation.
You have a oh, I didn't know. There's more. The king of one more thing. One more thing. One more thing. So.
All right, just a real quick before you get to dessert. One thing about Ian Heisey, if I could, and this is going to come as no shock to Ian. I'm just a little bit bigger than Ian as a person, and I only mean that structurally, right? Because how many times have I told Ian, I just want to throat punch you, right? And that is my tagline to Ian. And I say that because I go to Ian and I'm so frustrated over something, and it's usually residents who just can't get along, and I'm going to Ian and I'm just fuming over something, and then by the time I'm done, he makes me see the other side of it, and I just want to throat punch him because he's always right, right? So he has walked me off the ledge, I don't know how many times, but Ian, you know, they've been with you for 20 some years. I've known you for almost 10. really the neighborhood won't be the same without you. So good luck in your endeavors. We do have a scroll for you from City Hall. So congratulations. And you're going to be dearly missed.
Thank you.
And I look forward to planting a tree in his honor. And I will, and for those of you who don't, that's one of my least favorite, but it's going to be in honor of Ian, and we're all going to love it. Appreciate that. Right? And every time I go by that tree, I'm just going to want to, I'm going to throat punch that tree because Ian's not around anymore. And then to Bellaire Puritas, right? I mean, it's obviously, it's a very big city and it's a very big ward, but Bellaire Puritas and the staff of Bellaire Puritas is always the right hand to any council person. And I am very, very honored that I'm one of the very few council members who only have to deal with one CDC. But I couldn't ask for any other better CDC or group of people. So congratulations on 30 years. I hope you have another, I'm not gonna be here in 30 years, but I hope the organization is gonna be here in 30 years. So we just have a scroll from you from the city of Cleveland as well, so congratulations.
Thank you all. Now we're seriously. Do you have one right there?
It's for you guys. So
Here we go. One more thing.
Well, just ditto what Brian said, because I don't want to keep you, but, as I mentioned, we're all so grateful, and I will probably be around for in 30 years from now, so I'd be happy to present you another one with that, so thank you.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I wasn't really prepared to be a recipient. Thank you all for coming. Please have some dessert. And we'll see you next year. I guess the lighting's really bad. I was hoping to...